Hey, Nick,
Hey Jen,
I hear you have a problem.
I've got yet another problem. I was hoping you could help me out. So here's the deal. I'm doing a bunch of international travel next year, and my travelers are worried. They're freaking out, and I'm trying to figure out how to make them feel safer, and I want to make sure that they've got the right coverage and everything. And I'm not really sure where to go or who to ask, and I've got a bunch of questions, so I need somebody to kind of handhold me to that process.
Well, normally I'm the one with the solution to your problem, but this one's a little bit out of my realm of expertise. So I've invited our friend Erin to join us today from Wanderwell because he's an expert.
Good to have you here. So tell me about Wanderwell. Tell me about how you can make my travelers feel more comfortable. Just tell me all the good stuff that I need to know.
Well, first of all, we're very proud for many years, have been partnering with YouLi, and the aim and the goal to help all of the YouLi partners, the travel planners, to expand reliable coverage to your guests and allow you guys to have, or allow your client partners to have extra revenue while providing a strong quality duty of care to your guests and making the workflows for your team a lot more simple.
So tell me about the different types of coverage. Is there a cancel for any reason?
Well, there is. Most people, when we talk with them, are concerned about cancellation for reasons that are actually listed as covered reasons. There are generally two types of coverage that can often be included or embedded in one plan. One is called pre-departure, which is generally trip cancellation. It is the protection of the investment of your trip. And then the other is called post-departure. And that is comprised mostly of trip interruption, trip delay, baggage and personal effects, emergency medical expenses, and emergency medical evacuation. And the top two reasons that people express are listed as covered reasons are cancellation due to unforeseen accidental injury, illness, or death to you, the traveler, a traveling companion booked to travel with you, or a family member not traveling with you. Second one is an unforecasted natural disaster or inclement weather that may prohibit you from leaving or leaving your departure or leaving your destination.
So if somebody gives me tickets to the Beyonce concert, I can't cancel my trip, cancel for any reason. That's not covered, huh? Tell me if I heard this correctly early on. Did you say that I could also earn by recommending Wanderwell? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. So if you're a travel planner and you decide, you know what, I want to encourage my guests to be protected. But also, if you have any questions, go directly to Wanderwell. They're licensed; they can handle all your questions. Then, when they purchase, you can earn a referral fee as a travel planner.
Okay, I like that. Now, the one thing that I heard was empath. Jen, here's what I'm going to put on my big wish list. When somebody is checking out for one of my events, retreats, events, whatever, wouldn't it be fantastic if, boom, that Wonderwell option was boom right there? You should put that on your list of things.
That is a good idea, Nick. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me get that sorted for you. And oh, let me just show you what that's going to look like. So we are currently working on an in-path trip protection experience in partnership with Wanderwell. So if you, Nick, as an affiliate of Wanderwell, enter that code into YouLi so that we know you're a partner, we can enable this experience for your travelers. So they choose their payment method and then they choose their trip protection. So they'll actually see exactly what price they're going to pay to get this coverage. And this is a really beautiful plan that the Wanderwell team has put together for our partners. And this makes it really seamless for you. So as was mentioned, of course, customers may choose to make some exceptions to this, and they can always work with Wanderwell to make special purchases. But this is the really straightforward, just buy the one that is kind of recommended generally. And it includes trip cancellation coverage and all the things that you see here to a certain degree. So that's what it's going to look like, which is why we're doing this session to encourage everyone to reach out to Erin and become an affiliate partner. So we have a full article documenting how to do this, which you can check out, or you can just click the link below this video and book in a session with Erin. As you figured out by now from this conversation, Erin's an expert in all of the things that matter so that you can do all the right things, do it legally, do it compliantly, and make sure your travelers are feeling good about traveling. And then we can make sure that that's really easy for you. We already have an option inside the platform with post-booking purchase. We have an integration already with Wanderwell. All you have to do, talk to Erin, get your code, pop it in here, and then when your customers purchase that from the trip page, and they click to get that purchase, that's when Nick, you as the travel planner, you're going to get that credit already today. And when we release the in-path experience, you're going to get that same credit, but just a higher percentage of customers actually purchasing, because we're going to make it really easy for them to do it when they're booking their trip.
That all sounds fantastic. It sounds like I need to get in touch with Erin and get my affiliate code.
I also just wanted to share one of the things you mentioned earlier, obviously cancel for any reason being one of the big things that people are thinking about. But Erin mentioned the emergency evacuation coverage, and that can feel a little like, do I need it? Do I not need it? I never thought I would need it, but this photo is actually from me in French Polynesia. And on that trip, I did actually have an accident, and I did actually have to get emergency evacuated. So the whole 9 yards, the police, the doctors, the emergency flight. It was pretty scary. And one of the things that kept me calm while I was going through all of that was knowing that I'd actually bought the right travel insurance coverage. So the fact that I was getting put on a plane just for me, and I knew how insanely expensive that was, I didn't have to worry that I was going to get that bill. And that actually made me a lot calmer in the midst of everything else. And thankfully also didn't have permanent outcomes from that, but just knowing that I was safe from a bill made everything else a lot easier. So it's just one of those things. Sometimes you look at it, you're like, oh, do I really need travel insurance? And then you have one of these situations, you're like, yeah, it's worth that extra bit, so that if the worst case happens, you know that at least you're not getting the bill for it.
Well, I am never traveling with you. I've never had an emergency evacuation from a hotel bar. So I'm just saying, travel with me and you're going to lower that risk. But it's not foolproof, though. So definitely going through Wanderwell and talking to Erin, just in case.
Slip in a pool bar, no?
Off of a pool, off of a stool, sure, absolutely. Anything could happen.
I think that's possible. So,
That's for our next problem session on the true risk management, right?
Right. We want to hear the horror stories.
Right. Nick Vannello's horror stories.
Right.
I want to add something to it too, that it first of all, it looks really nice and very simplified. And on top of that, I'm glad you're okay. And not only that you didn't have to have the bill, but also that the care that you received and probably the timing of the care you received was prompt and effective.
Yeah, it was one of those strange things that you don't really think about if you've never had this happen to you. But literally, I was sitting on the bed with I had gotten a concussion, and I was on oxygen, and they were like, "Do you consent to be emergency evacuated?" was the question that I was given, in a state where answering that question was not an easy question to answer.
Right.
And the thing that popped into my head was, I have emergency evacuation coverage. Yes, I consent to be emergency evacuated. And I wonder sometimes, if I hadn't purchased that and I had been asked that question, would I have paused? Would I have declined it because I was afraid of that cost, And just thinking about how much harder that whole thing would have been if I hadn't just been like, yes, someone will be watching out for me because I bought the right coverage. So that's just something you don't think about, when you're going through the process of buying travel insurance. like, not only are you buying the coverage, but you're buying that sort of peace of mind in a crisis to say, yes, please give me the help that I can get right now.
Yeah, that's really important. And maybe even something that could be useful to YouLi partner and obviously Wanderwell partner travel planners, where it's something that's built into their, I'm not sure, maybe their terms and conditions or agreement with their guests. They're signing over like authority to speak for them when they are to care for them if they are incapacitated, let's say. And actually, this is one of the ways where Wanderwell can help when their guests do have coverage, because most of, or I know a good amount of YouLi partners are curated small group travel. And so when they have one of their team members leading the group, that person can have access to essentially, like, you know, every one of that group's insurance policies, and they can have the emergency assistance information and details to be able to advocate for them in a crisis.
Yeah, and I think it's such a good point in terms of, you know, what, Nick, you provide in terms of duty of care. I mean, you guide your people there. You are present with them, and you're a partner with Wanderwell, so you know that that you've given them the best recommendation that you can. And so on the trip page, when you've asked them to give you a copy of that, if they've given it to you, then you can play that role and you can advocate for them. Yeah. So this is the beautiful intersection of technology, making it easier to do. Wanderwell being an incredible partner who can advise not only partners like travel planners like Nick, to in terms of how to position this with your customers, but then the customers, when they purchase from Wanderwell, that means they don't call Nick, right? They call Erin. So if they do need changes to that, you know, it's just a great way to do the right thing on Nick's side, and then push all the burden of,
Right.
do I have the right level of insurance? Like, if you do have someone who's really, really like picky about it, that's a conversation that can happen with the Wanderwell team. And Nick, you don't have to suddenly become an expert in the various nuance of travel protection.
I don't have to
And
leave
you
the hotel
shouldn't be,
bar.
because that is actually a risk management task that you and other travel planners can take. When you partner with a company like Wanderwell, you're allowing us to do what we do best and take that liability. So we're, you know, our team is licensed to do that. And then you don't need that exposure of telling people what type of insurance they have to get or answering questions on insurance.
Yeah. And then you have duty of care and you get paid.
Right.
We know where Nick is spending that money.
Exactly, at the hotel bar.
Nice. There's a lot of cool ways that we've learned from our affiliate partners, travel planners, about how they spend any money that they make. A few of them that set up a separate fund, and they call it the fund. But I'm sorry, if something goes wrong, they've got like thousands of dollars in this fund, and they could say like, oh, you ended up like, let's, for example, you ended up at a hotel that we booked you at, but you showed up and it was kind of in shambles, not what was advertised, and you need an immediate new reservation down the street. We got you, and we had that in that fund.
I love that so much. That's a really good recommendation. Well, I think we've brought enough solutions to the table, including hotel bars and emergency funds. And I look forward to solving Nick's problem next week. And I'm sure we'll be talking again, Erin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Ben.
Appreciate it.